All right, thank you so much everyone for being here. So this is for my final project for Priestess of the Dove Oracle Level 4 with Seven Sisters Mystery School. We have a lovely group of ladies here today. So I just want to invite everyone to get comfortable. Make sure you've got water. If you want anything to take notes, you'll definitely have access to the replay too. You're welcome to have access to this. And if you're ready, I will just invite us all now to close our eyes. And just take that first breath. Then starting to turn the gaze inward, turn the focus inward here. And taking an elevator downstairs out of the mind now and into the heart space. And starting to really come into this moment here, just gathering ourselves, our thoughts, inviting you to just leave everything before this moment at the door, work and tasks, everything, anything on the mind, just let's put it in a beautiful carved wooden box at the door to the room. Being here fully in the now together. One of my intentions with this time together is that you will start to see how being open, we all kind of mirror and ping on one another. So you'll see how me being in the oracle state, you're actually going to start receiving insight, ideas. It's going to, we ping one another. It's very interesting what starts to happen. So I just want to invite you into the breath and into the body. And we're going to begin to connect with Mother Earth, with Gaia here. So just asking her to receive us. I'm just starting to see our abdomen and our legs turning into a root of our favorite tree, grounding down now into the layers of the earth, the sacred earth, sending these roots down to connect with the beautiful crystalline core, the heart of Gaia's huge, beautiful diamond, and just inviting you to wrap your roots 3 times around her heart and pull snugly like fingers softly grasping a smooth stone. And this will provide our grounding for this portion so that we can really fly high in the inner realms, the higher realms within. And starting to see now coming up from her roots this beautiful emerald green energy and beautiful golden energy, these rivers of light. And these come all the way up our trunk, all the way up through the body and out through the crown of the head, showering around us 3 feet in every direction. And so we'll just see this lovely continuous stream for a few minutes here, just breathing this beautiful green and this beautiful gold. And this will support us in clearing, removing any blockages, really coming into the now. And you can just imagine it going up through your legs and pulling in your abdomen and up out the crown of the head. So just keep imagining this beautiful stream. This is a very powerful, just to share this with you as a transmission way of cleansing your energy on all levels, so that then you know you're in a more accurate state of receptivity, purified state. And then we're going to invite into our space now a beautiful grandmother willow tree, and then a beautiful grandfather oak tree, just huge to ground our room. Their branches overarching over us at the ceiling. And they too are sending beautiful grounding trunks down into the center, into hearts, the heart of Gaia, pulling up this golden energy. So our room is permeated with this beautiful healing golden light with sparkles, and bringing the room and the space into this elevation, healing, protection, beautiful pure energies of the Christed light. And then I invite to just encircle this beautiful space with us together, to see us in a beautiful golden bubble in this process together today. So thank you for sharing this space with me today. We have a beautiful kind of soft rose and magenta pink with gold. So just seeing us all in a beautiful bubble for our class today. And just breathing and enjoying, continuing to run that energy up and out the crown of the head. And we'll add one more layer onto this. We're going to continue to work with the green and the gold from Gaia coming up and through to connect us with Gaia Sophia. But we're also now going to shoot our energy up into the grand central sun, into the heart of source, and bringing down this beautiful kind of amber honey energy, so liquid plasma, nice, thick, beautiful Christed light coming down, coating our head, the whole back of the head, the whole body, and all the way down the body, this beautiful honey, thick amber, very powerful for healing the DNA and helping us to realign. and to revitalize in these times with so much amazing energy going on all around us. So seeing now these two currents, we have this beautiful current of emerald and gold coming up from Gaia, up and out through the crown of the head. And every so often, you're welcome to kind of pull on your root to really feel like, okay, yes, I'm secure with her core. So we're floating really into higher spaces, but we are stabilized here. It's like an anchor. So we have that going up and through the crown of the head, and then this beautiful golden amber coming down from Creator Source, Father, Mother, God. And just breathing and just starting to feel, you will feel a little bit of a shift as we kind of come more easily into that frequency of the I am presence. And this is the space from which we wish to receive information and to transmit. And so I'm going to call in some guides for us, and then we can get into it. So calling Mother Mary here, asking her to put her hands at our lower back to provide us with healing and strength, renewal, courage, the pure love of the Divine Mother. And also inviting Yeshua to come and place his hands on our shoulders. Inviting the Sophia Seraphim, beautiful Seraphim order at our crowns. And Mother Isis is here at our forehead, at our third eye with her wings. And Mother Mary behind us at our back. And calling in the helpful ancestors, our guides, archangels, Archangel Michael, Saint Joan of Arc, who has been an amazing support for this process of really stepping up into new levels. This is for everyone, new levels of courage and showing up and how we're guided to show up. And it can be new, it could be scary. So Saint Joan of Arc here to support us. And the golden phoenix is here, and the golden dragon as well, for extra protection and a sense of levity, of joy, of celebration, of coming into these states, because we all have lives doing this, probably more lives than than other lives doing this, living this. So very grateful for this opportunity to share this. And also calling on our animal totems, the elemental kingdoms, and the ancestors, the helpful ancestors of the land where we live, all the different beautiful energies where we all are all around the planet today. All right, so you're welcome to kind of stop running the energy now, just let it start to wane away. And I invite you throughout this process, of course, you have to open your eyes to unmute yourself to ask a question. But aside from that, I invite you to just stay with your breath. Every once in a while, check in, make sure your grounding trunk is, we're rooted with Gaia's heart. But have your eyes closed and looking inward and inside the back of the skull, or the front of the skull, excuse me, the inner back of that, the screen where the third eye is, to see what you see, what you feel, any visions, any questions as we go along with this process. There'll be some nice third eye activation for you as we kind of synchronize ourselves here in this sacred space. So lastly, I'm going to put between all of us a beautiful golden urn of violet flame. And this can serve as a filter. So any information, if it doesn't resonate, just leave it in the flame, throw it in there. So serve as a filter and a buffer. And again, we just ask for the most beautiful and highest frequency of information available to serve ourselves and one another at this time. I'm giving so much thanks. So I'm guided now to open the floor. Any questions that you have? I know we talked about the eclipse and the astrology, but if there's anything that's in your heart and your mind, you're welcome to unmute and we'll see what we can do with that. Anybody have any questions they want to start with? I'm going to have my eyes closed, so you're welcome to unmute if you have anything. And if not, I'll start going on the astrology, but I want to check in first. All right. So I'm asking about the Pluto retrograde for us all at this time. It's happening today, kind of yesterday and today, depending on where you are on the planet. And immediately I'm getting this beautiful vision of the phoenix shrieking, actually, as it rises out of a pile of ash to the sun. And I'm seeing also the tower card. A lot of us, most of us have had the tower moment this year, the last few years. And I'm being shown that we are flying out of this rubble with a new sense of self. It's almost like old layers of the cloak are gone. We have a sense of a lighter load as far as knowing what is ours, knowing what is authentically ours, the vision perhaps a little bit clearer. And I'm being shown that the face of the phoenix is towards the sun, symbolically representing the light and the information, so that as we are guided to go forward into unknown territory, perhaps new roles assigned to us at soul level, new forms of expression, the hows, we may ask, how. And I'm just guided to refer everyone to sit in the sun or connect with the sun and the light codes of the sun in your process all year, always coming back to the light as your source of information to know what the next step is. And I'm also being shown a lot of the burning that we have experienced is that, and it is difficult to grasp because we are transitioning from a linear reality into a quantum one. And what can be really challenging about this is that the way that we used to function linearly for many of us doesn't work and is consistently working less and less. And we are seeing systems breakdowns in the patriarchal matrix system as it is collapsing because it's all fragmented. And in this process, so here we are, okay, freshly reborn, perhaps feeling a little raw and vulnerable, have some idea of where to go. We can feel the wind and we know to turn to that direction, but we're not getting a lot of specifics. And the ego mind, the human mind, is trying to grasp, trying to reach for solutions or answers. And we must understand that this is a holographic process now. There's no reaching. You can postulate the question. You can ask, please show me, or please reveal to me, or please support me in removing any veils that I have put in place, which were formerly for protection and now no longer necessary. So as is aligned for me, please show me. We can ask to be shown every step, every piece of the way. And when it is aligned, we will receive the information. So I'm being shown really tapping into our inner elder, our inner wise one that is patient and trusting that we will receive all that we need, all the information, the action steps to know how to go forward. And that at many points in the journey now, because of it being kind of, it's this quantum system, a holographic system of interconnectivity, each piece reveals itself one at a time for the puzzle. So for those of us that are planners, those of us that are pre-programmed with the patriarchy, which all of us are programmed with patriarchy. And what we mean by that is the reaching, the I have to know, the control, that's all falling away. This eclipse is in Taurus and Pluto is retrograde in Capricorn. Capricorn is the systems that were in place that are melting right now. And then all of us are kind of like nebulous, like, well, what do I do next? Where do I go? The old ways don't work anymore. They don't apply. What do I do? Endless questions we have, beloveds, and they say they will all be answered. Just do one piece at a time. Oftentimes, the biggest answer is the self-care piece to go within. Do whatever you need to feel aligned again and in your peace. And then you will have the answers because the mind will be scrambling, trying to reach. And that's not the way anymore. It's more of a heart-centered navigation. So we've got to be calm and focused and centered. So self-care is more important than ever. As the frequencies shift, as the magnetics are all over the place, it gets more and more confusing out there to know what's true or what's aligned. The only way we're going to know is inside. And they always crack me up. They show me that old Dell computer logo, you know, Intel inside, right? And we never knew what that meant. Well, now we're getting ideas of what that means. And I'm being shown the image of, sometimes it's almost like in a video game, you're given like one tile to step on at a time as a stepping stone, and there aren't any other ones, and that's the only one you're on. There's nothing behind you anymore, or to the sides, or to the front. So it's about balance, one step at a time, allowing it to come. And this is a huge part I'm receiving about really leaning in to Divine Mother, receiving that this year being the 2022 Master Builder year. And Divine Mother is here very powerfully for all who would call upon her to support navigating in an entirely new frequency of reality. And how important it is for us in this, we're lighthouses in our community, to stabilize ourselves, to support other people, because other people who do not have access to these tools may be frightened by the fact that their brains aren't really working and nothing is working the way it was. It's a very internal navigation, connecting with the soul kind of process. And we have been waiting lifetimes after lifetimes for this time. And then I hear Jefferson Airplane, White Rabbit, keep your head. Remember what the Dormouse said, keep your head. And what they're showing me with that is, you know, how the mind is a wonderful tool. The linear mind is a great computer, but it's not very useful for navigation in the quantum experience because it can only reference from the past. So it's not accurate in information. It's actually like a window that is smudged. You're not seeing clearly. So it's very important that we have the heart-mind balance. I'm being shown that a lot of us are, there's a lot of the 4D going on, the battle program. We see that in the outside world right now with the wars, the different things that are going on, politics, all these different things. And it's a lot of mirrors of the internal process. So just to be cognizant, to be mindful that at times there will be almost this kind of unconscious battle between the ego and the heart going on inside of us. So it's up to us to tune into that and start to really master that, meaning that we see what's going on, and practicing compassion, that when we're in fear or when we're reactive or any of these emotional states, it's showing us where there is wounding or fragmentation to be divinely mothered. And this is a huge theme of reparenting ourselves this year, reparenting ourselves. So it's like we have these heavenly parents, Heavenly Father, Cosmic Mother, Divine Father, as our parents, as a reference point to support these soul fragments that we have from childhood, perhaps past life, if we haven't done some of those pieces yet. So this is a really big year for self-care, one step at a time, compassion for yourself and for others. And that's another thing, truth coming in. You know, truth is individual in certain ways because it's a frequency of information. So at this time, we see everyone may have different opinions and beliefs and truths on so many topics. And it's really important to honor that. And that's one of the main reasons why St. Joan of Arc is here, is to protect and support us in our individuality and in our truths. And feeling safe to voice that if it is required, if it is aligned in certain areas. Some of us will be tested to speak up or stand up, and it can be scary, but not really. And I'm seeing the rose, connecting to the rose, connecting with aromatherapy, being shown how through the physical, through what the patriarchy would put down as sensuality. And we don't mean this in a sexual context. We mean in more of a tantric unity consciousness context, where all of the senses were gifted to us as being made in the image of the creator as ways to access the heavenly realms that are here now in the physical. So the sense of touch and taste and smell, so seeing the rose, the texture of the rose, the scent of the rose, that these can really support us being in the body, being embodied now, because it's very important that we don't just live in the head, but we live through the whole body. So I was just being shown that beautiful rose as a reminder to smell the roses, stop and smell the roses, have some practices to support you, maybe some little alarms that go off on your phone or that support you, like, am I in my body? Because we're in training ourselves to come back into the body temple. Breath, going for lovely walks, listening to the bird song, music, making, maybe if you like to cook, making food for people with pleasure and joy is a sacred act, like starting to see how much of the sacred has been infused into the mundane and we couldn't see it before. So everything is multidimensional. And this is part of the magic that they keep showing is like, yes, the journey can be difficult and challenging with so much unknown and so much, dissolving around us. But there's also this other component that is just as extreme in its glory, which is the magic of the experience right now. So it's all a matter of where we're focused, where our head is, where our thoughts are, and just coming back to the now. For the eclipse is in Taurus, and there's a lot going on with the planet Uranus as well. So we'll start with Taurus. Taurus is made up of the planets of Venus and the Earth. So what we've been receiving is this beautiful trickling down from Venus, and Venus being actually a portal to Sophia, an example of the divine feminine in her many, many emanations. So Venus being a portal to the Hathors, the Pleiades, the seven sisters, the Venusians. And so this is another plate to spin, right? As we're working on all of this to exist, balancing our energy and ourselves and the self-care, asking to be shown and waiting, and then taking action when we're shown. Then the other layer on top of that is the dreaming, the dream weaving of your dreams of your ideal life here in the physical. So Venus and Earth is heaven on Earth, 5D on Earth. So while all of this stuff is rearranging itself, we are to hold the vision. And this kind of starts to synchronize with what we're here to do. And we're here to do many things. But what is your vision for heaven on earth for yourself? So what does your body feel like? The health of your body, the connection with your body as a sacred temple, lifestyle and your home and where you live and what you're doing for your expression. Also the throat, Taurus rules the throat. So feeling safe in our creative expression, the throat is connected to the higher heart. So there's that whole piece of what am I here to do? And is it writing music? Is it working with children? There's so many things that we came to share as artists. So really coming in touch with the artists, the muses are coming through with this Venus and Earth. And so really going into detail in your dreams and in your visuals. Oh my gosh, I've always wanted to live by the beach, or whatever it is that before you couldn't have, or there's always a reason, there's a condition in place. Starting to work with those and starting to review what is truly possible. And then expanding that. What is your vision of heaven on earth for the world? And this beautiful meta prayer kind of practice, like may all beings be clothed and fed and housed, and may all beings on earth be honored. And how beautiful if we could transition from this kind of survival and this inequality kind of stuff with resources to, wow, everyone has more than enough. And now if we look at Maslow's hierarchy, instead of just having the base needs met and people and their consciousness not being blessed enough, fortunate enough to rise higher, now that baseline is handled for all. And then we're moving and transitioning into this golden age of creativity, where beings can be in touch with their own divine spark of creativity, how they want to express. And I see a lot of a cultural renaissance, cottage industries coming back, a lot of small time. We're seeing this, and we're going to continue to see this with the systems too, as they reform to be in better service, perhaps more at a local level, just lovely things like that. Hearing the crystal village, the global village, So it's like, well, what is your dream for that? And maybe there's a piece that you could start to build now. Even no matter how subtle it is, that they show me it's all energy. If you have a dream of a beautiful farmstead, you could have a vision board you put together with the visuals of that, something to bring it into form and just initiate that process. All right, I'm not getting anything. So if anyone wants to ask for clarity on anything, anything in your heart and your mind, please unmute and go for it, because the questions can help us to really expand and go deeper on a lot of things. I'm just going to keep my eyes closed. So you're welcome to unmute.
Marissa, hi, this is Kelly, and I'm sorry if this was covered in the beginning because I came on late, but what are light codes?
Light codes is information. So if you think of E equals MC squared, that super famous formula, it's the energy of consciousness, which is light. So light codes is information, and it can come through so many ways. It can come through directly from the sun. You might see symbols. You see people drawing symbols. It could also be symbols when you're out and about. It could be all of a sudden you notice I'm having conversations with people and everyone keeps using this one word, and then you realize that that one word is a symbolic file for you of something, or street names or song lyrics. So the messages from the divine come in many forms. But that's the essence of light codes, is that it's information, conscious intelligence in a light packet, in photonic energy. So the individual that has a higher light quotient will have more of an expanded consciousness, like the Buddha or like Yeshua, versus maybe someone who is not yet at that phase. And yeah, I think that's the best way to talk about that. Yay, thank you. Any other questions? Let's go.
Hey, Marissa, it's Virginia. I have a question just about all of the solar weather that's happening right now, and just the sensations that I'm having in my physical body that are very similar to anxiety, but I am connected enough to know that it's not quite anxiety, but it's like how my physical body wants to translate it sometimes. And I feel like I'm doing a lot of the things I know, grounding and in nature and all the things, but it's like it's just coming in really fast. And I'm just curious if you have anything to share about that.
I love that. And thank you so much for bringing that in, because that's part of the Uranus stuff going on right now as well, because Taurus is in Uranus. And thank you, because I meant to go more on Uranus. So I'm going to go into all of that. So Uranus, the planet, is the planet of God consciousness, of electricity and lightning. And just talk about light codes, talk about a deluge of information, genius insight. I mean, we have so much access to incredible information and energy. And as such, we may feel like you're just vibrating with too much energy. And so there are quite a few things you can do to ground the energy. Tai Chi Gong is really great. Conscious ecstatic dance. Things like, if you have the energy, Kundalini yoga, where you're really and you're really breathing and you're moving, and these kind of like, exaggerated, strong movements to move the energy. So physical things can be really helpful for that. Singing. You can also sometimes just ask, like, hey guys, I'm in the physical, can you dial it down a little bit? And then just imagine that you're turning a volume knob, down a little bit. It's also really important. I'm so glad you brought this up, because this is a theme that started coming in at the end of the year last year, where it was like, oh my gosh, my work needs to focus mostly on the body, to help people with their nervous systems for right now. Because in addition to like seeing the disarray all around us and trying to navigate that, in itself can cause what we would call in the human experience anxiety, because we're trying to figure it all out and realizing there's a whole new way of figuring it out. Then on top of that, yeah, we've got all of this solar energy coming down, and then Uranus. And we're going to be in Uranus for a year and a half, that we have these the overarching of this energy to support us in more and more and more divine sovereignty. So also creative outlets and things. But the golden ray, I actually just released an activation to support people for the eclipse at this time. And we're working with the golden ray and the golden robes to support the glandular system, because everything is going to need an upgrade. And any emotions that we have, right? Any memories, because as they say, the issues are in the tissues. So anything that is stored in the body, in the different organs and glands, is also going to be kicked on by all of this light just streaming forth. Because what does light do? Is such a high frequency that it roots out anything that is opposing that. It helps to support the removal, the uprooting of density within. Also diet detox, very important, like heavy metal detox, like green smoothies with cilantro and parsley. And there are ways to make these more palatable, but detox protocols that are gentle. And then there's also on my YouTube channel a few years ago, we recorded actually an activation. So it's a guided meditation of the 6 healing sounds. Montauk Chia, the famous Qigong master, he has the 6 healing sounds, and you're literally toning a sound for each of the organs and working with color, the color spectrum. And it's amazing how much you can just feel. So like if you want, we can do one together right now for the heart, which is, it's HAW is the sound. And so you inhale this beautiful, just vibrant, ruby, red, garnet energy, inhaling that into the heart. And then we exhale, out loud. And what's so funny about this is, we normally sigh and make that noise anyway, like, so it's so funny because the body remembers these things. We may not cognitively remember, but so there's things you can do. So let's do that 2 more times. So breathing in this beautiful ruby into the heart, and and you can literally feel it's just pouring out. Like all of a sudden it goes from being kind of constricted, and I've definitely been feeling that constriction today with Pluto retrograde, under pressure, definitely. So we'll do one more to release. So inhaling that beautiful ruby into the heart, exhaling. So there are multidimensional practices we can do to work with these energies. Physical, energetic, color. Also really helps to put your back up against a tree and ask the tree, like, can you help me with some of this? Because the trees are like giant antennae themselves, to anchor the light codes down. Yeah, so I hope that gives you some things to work with there. You want to have a really multidimensional tool bag at this point, because it's going to depend on what kind of energy do we have. Do we have physical energy, or is it more all mental and emotional and we're just a pancake? Lately, like when the KP index goes off the charts, I actually feel flu-like, and that's a symptom of the radiation coming from the sun is like a flu. So then you start to think, oh, okay, so that's interesting, because certain other things are called a flu, and we're not really taking the space weather into account yet in the mass consciousness, even though it's all there in the charts. So interesting things, so it helps to be a sky watcher, watch the solar weather, space weather, in addition to planetary weather, because they're going to be interconnected with the magnetics there. So thank you. It's such an awesome question for both of you. Thank you. Any more questions? Let's go.
Marissa, I think Lindsay is in the waiting room.
Oh, thank you. Awesome. All right. Okay. Any more questions?
Hey, hi, Marissa. It's Jenny.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, so I kind of did not have a clear question at the beginning, but then you ended up bringing up some of the same themes when at the beginning, when you started talking about the retrograde and the eclipse. So that kind of helped me clarify my question, I guess. So when you get to that point of realizing, that you're kind of immersed in this society of patriarchal systems, and you start kind of seeing all that, and then from that once you get that awareness, you start, I guess, having some kind of inner realization of what you want to change in your life on a kind of day-to-day level, or how you want to disengage with those systems over time. So I guess my question is about time, because there's initially you get like this rush of like, oh my God, I've got to stop this, and I've got to stop doing it like this, and I've got to stop this in my life, and like all the things that seem like the ordinary everyday stuff. So I understand how it can take time to like process each thing and see, oh, okay, I need to disentangle myself from this thing, and I want to disentangle myself from this thing. But I guess my question is about the time. I understand astrologically sometimes things can be speeded up, but I'm just curious to know, is it really just like what you were saying, a step at a time? Or is there other things you can do to kind of like speed up that process? Or does that make sense, my question?
I think so. I think so. Thank you. And yes, I really appreciate this question, because many steps can come at once. We could see the whole end game, the whole project, and then it may be steps leading up to that. Then like, okay, well, how do I get there? But to answer your question, it's all about frequency. This is a frequency game. So hence the reason for the self-care being so crucial, because if we're doing the self-care, allowing ourselves to get in touch with our joy, the things that make us feel free, obviously we're handling our responsibilities and our obligations. But if we are really prioritizing our self-care, that's increasing our light quotient, which increases our magnetism. So, they say it's all up to us. We're the only ones in the way. All that is a distraction, an illusion, like, oh, I can't because of this, or da 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 da. It's all us. We are the only ones in the way. There's also divine timing with things, of course. But as far as aligning synchronicity and receptivity, that's about raising your frequency, which is your pure joy and your happiness. I was also being shown too to make sure that we don't overthink things like what, like for instance, oh my gosh, I've been embroiled in the patriarchy, I've got so much work to do to unravel. No, we don't actually. That's a construct too. So we have to be so cognizant of these mind traps that again put us farther away from the end goal, right? Yes, we have things to see and to unravel, but it's more about focusing on the unity now. And then those little pieces will come up to show us. If we focus on pure love light, if we focus on unity consciousness and pure love and unconditional living now, and just that's the focus, we don't even have to try to see other than that or work on anything else. It's going to come through naturally anyway, because it's a discordant frequency. So it's like eye on the prize, deal with stuff as it comes up, but really working on the joy factor, the laughter factor, what raises your frequency, and finding those things that just are such a sweetness for you: nature, animals, children, art, bright colors, flowers, like finding the thing that is so pure. And it just opens us, and it helps us to feel safe as well, to open, because when we're first opening the heart, the first thing that comes is the layers that were kind of the armor of that heart, which can be the story and some pain. And that's what's so wonderful about this Pluto retrograde, is we're starting to really, after many cycles now on this planet, we're ready to be like, I'm really done with that, actually. Like, I think I got everything I needed. I'm really done with that. And there's a sense of freedom from these old stories or perceived limitations, or the echoes of if we had verbal abuse from other people that were echoing before. It's almost like a lot of these things have less toll on us. There's less of a stick that it zaps from us. It's easier in many ways now to feel, what is my truth? How do I feel about this? And then that's the other piece, is be mindful of coming into the heart space and allowing that to be the brain. Because again, the mind, we're used to using the mind, but it's not going to work the same way. It's more of just a computer for doing a math problem at this point, or to your taxes, like something linear. But conscious living and conscious creating, all of it's going to come through the heart. You're going to get an intuition, call this person, connect with this person. You have a conversation with someone, you're like, that didn't feel spot on. Like, you're literally using the heart now as a divining rod, to navigate. And you can also feel into scenarios. So let's say you have 3 options right now, or 2 options, and you're not sure, play with the energy. We have way more access to information than we have ever known, because we were always looking at it from a mental construct, which is very linear and, oh, you have to memorize it to know it. No, this is about feeling. And this is a very exciting direction that I've been really excited to share with you all, is starting to own, as a woman, your body is an oracle. Your body is the prophetess. So starting to run information through the body like a sieve to get your yes or your no. So let's say you've got 2 scenarios, 3 scenarios, whatever. Have 2 or 3 different doors in front of you in your imagination. And then okay, I'm going to go behind door number 1. And door number 1 is scenario A. Feel it. How does it feel? Then go so on and so on. Door number 2, door number 3. So this is a way of, when we have things presented, to start to kind of feel into the qualities of it. And you're going to feel a yes or a no, or not right now, or don't focus there. You're going to know. And that's what's really cool, and something that I've been so passionate to try to share with as many as possible, is especially as women, we're very gifted to run concepts, ideas,
As a
intel
woman,
through the
we are
body.
always we as a woman, I'm sorry that I want to interrupt you, Marissa. You're such a wonderful woman. You know what? You have a gift, Swat. That woman had a question, and I know, and now I understand she is full of questions, and you are giving her the answers. That I have to stop interrupting you. But I understand, and I feel like yes, as a woman, you have to understand, listen to Marissa, all the answers are within us.
That's right.
A woman is sacred. A woman is just, please don't let you're being distracted by a man, by influence by another. We are whole. I'm sorry that I can't express myself now as a diva, but I'm just whole
No.
myself. I listened to that woman and it hurt me. And my daughter, she put on the volume. My precious daughter, Akama, show yourself. And she put it all up on herself, Marissa.
Mm.
Sorry, I'm not going to interrupt you anymore. I understand your message. Even when I can't explain it like you, I understand your message. And I think the lady, the woman who needs advice is you're giving her the best advice ever. Just
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
yes, I believe that. I believe that's what.
Do you have any questions right now?
I wonder now, not about myself. I want to know, what is the question? If you have answered that woman in the group, that's my question. How does she feel now? You have to understand one thing. When you feel lost in life, you can feel lost forever.
Mm-hmm.
But at a certain time, you as a wonderful woman, you know that experience probably.
Mm-hmm.
You have to cope with it because in the essence, you can sink to the bottom of the ocean,
Mm-hmm.
or you can tell to yourself, and I'm just like a flower, and I'm going to raise like the, how you say it, like the flower in the ocean. No, like the, how you want the Florence? The flower.
Lotus, like the lotus flower. That's what
Yes,
I was
that
thinking.
one. That one that comes from in the dot and in the earth, and then it doesn't matter if you find your soulmate or not. It's just you're a woman and you have to shine. If somebody else is going to tell you who you are a bad woman. You're going to sink to the bottom of the ocean, or you choose. Sorry, Marissa. Or you choose to say, no way, I'm not that kind of a woman. I am not. It's a choice, and it's really hurtful. It's a blessing that we can communicate together all.
Mm-hmm.
It's a role circle.
Yes.
That's my name is Rosaline. You know that. There's that woman who expresses herself is in pain. I can feel that, and she has to talk to you. I'm not going to talk to her because you have to be the big influence, and I think she deserves to be treated as a real woman.
Mm-hmm.
That's her right.
Thank you.
Voilà.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm going to mute you and we're going to continue on to the questions. Thank you so much, Lindsay. And hello to your little one there. Welcome, sweetheart. All right. Does anyone else, or Jen, if you have anything else, I mean, we can keep going. So Angie, you got anything? Lori, you got anything? Not to put you on the spot. I'm just so excited to hear from all of you. So you don't have to be on the spot if you don't want, but I'd love to, if you're comfortable. Let's see if we can unmute you there. There we go. Hi, Angie. Hey.
Yeah, hi. Just to use the voice.
Yeah.
I'm just following everything that you say. This is stuff that I've been practicing for a very long time, but it's just lovely to hear, because obviously we don't know everything. So it's great to hear, you know, new concepts, new visions, new ways of seeing what you're talking about.
Mhm.
You know, I can really feel this. I love the way that you're bringing
Awesome.
this through.
Thank you.
And you know, I like the way that the last question that came through there was for that lady, which was Jenny, wasn't it? What Jenny was talking about. Sorry, I've lost myself now as to what I was going to say, because Rose seems to have come into the forefront again. So I'm just going to be quiet now.
All right. Well, if it comes back, please do. Yeah. And if anyone else, yeah. Hi, Lori. Great. Love to hear from you.
Yeah, when you were talking about the feeling of being done and how we've completed things and stuff, it's recent events and stuff, at least for me, have been pretty trying, and you know, those tower moments that you talked about earlier and stuff.
Mhm.
And I just got to the point where it's like, I am so done, you know. And it just really
Never give up. Never give up.
in the perspective
give up.
that you did was helpful.
Oh, good. Good. My pleasure. Yes, my pleasure. Yes. And I want to share, like, I think Kelly may have had to leave, but, you know, when we talk about light codes, so we also talk about the synchronicity that we bring one another in friendship and in the sacred mirroring as women, you know, when we share our authentic experiences and just know. So I had a really amazing, it's been a series of tower moments. And then for Earth Day / my birthday, Jen sent me these incredible tapestries that are of some of the artwork of the major arcana in the tarot. And it was the star card, which has always really resonated with me as like kind of, you know, us being here on this soul kind of mission, being these mystical people. And the star card, I was guided to do some research on that. And that's the renewal and the fresh inspiration and that new, like, yeah, I'm going forward. It's the card after the tower card. So just know that after, you know, in the rubble, then a lot of mystical stuff starts to come. And so it's, you know, being tender with ourselves in this transitional phase of the destruction. And the goddess can really help us with this. Durga Ma, Kali Ma, these more ferocious elements of destruction, which are then leading to our rebirth. So thank you for sharing. A lot of us have been through some very intense tower stuff all year in the last few years. So thank you, Lori. Yeah, and I'm excited for you to find your star. It's inside, you know, but that process of rediscovering in a fresh way is so wonderful. It's like, oh, that's why I went through all of that. It was to get to more clarity and a little more levity in myself, and just trusting that process of letting the old fall away, you know. Yeah, so thank you. I'll close my eyes again. Anyone have anything, please unmute and go for it. I hope that helped, Jen. Was that any good? Let me know.
Yeah, I think yeah, what you and others
I
have said
just had a
since.
question for Janine. So I'll let her speak.
Okay, yeah, and then I'm going to mute you for a minute and then unmute yourself. Okay, sorry, Jen, go on.
Yeah, I think it's just that constant reminder to come back to the heart and not overthink everything, because that, like you said, that's part of the trap. That's what we've always been taught we have to do to survive, to, you know, be part of society, to be a person, to be a human. We just think, we just kind of so conditioned that that's how we solve things, even though we, you know, all of us have had gifts in our life where we know that's not really the way, but we just kind of went along with it anyway. So what you said, yeah, was just very like a good reminder of like, yeah, it's already there. You don't have to like figure it all out. You don't have to overthink it. You just got to remember, you know, what we knew as children, that it always came from the heart. All the ways of doing anything always came from the heart. We didn't need to overthink it. So thank you. No.
That's so beautiful. Thank you for bringing that. Thank you. Lindsay, what did you want to say? Oh, here, you're unmute yourself, love. There you go. Make sure you're unmuted.
Okay.
There you go. Yeah.
I'm just is Janine listening to me? Yes or no?
Yeah.
I'm just intrigued by her story because I feel in her eyes, I can see in her face that she is going through something, and you're never going to resolve your pain if you don't face your pain on your own. I'm truly sorry. I really want to help you and focus on your own. I do not that you want to go on your own destruction. I feel honored that I meet you. Please believe me. And I think the rose circle is a good thing and a good way to cherish. It's not for we are not going to share here for just sharing some hearts. We can do that with our children as well. But I believe I have a purpose like Marissa, and I feel you. There is a lot of going on maybe in your life, but you have to believe in yourself, dearest honey, a soul. You have to believe it, Janine. You are worth it. You have to believe that. If you don't believe in yourself, you can give yourself a number like 0. If you believe in yourself like 10, you already made yourself up to the stairway of heaven. I just want to help you in a way that you maybe feel lost, but you're not lost. I feel it. You are going to accomplish things beyond. If you just believe you can do it.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you. Do you have any questions? Thank you. That is just so beautiful. And that's what we're all about, is this mutual support here. But I want to keep us on task for the assignment. Do you have any questions, Lindsay? Anything right now?
Well, Marissa, I don't understand about the eclipse thing about
okay.
you were sharing about so deep about I've bought some books about it, about how we as you're born and your astrology is determined, but you have an influence. You're laughing, you look so lovely, is what. But when you're born, it's already 8 p.m. in the evening. So but there is an influence. I believe that a person is born with some kind of a mindset, with some kind of a thing, and you can influence that by the planets and all that. Once a week ago, I got so influenced that I shared in a group. I was devastated. I felt the moon. I always influenced by the moon. This I'm not getting it. Each time when I have my hormones, I get influenced by the moon.
Sure. Sure. Okay. Well,
how can I cope with that?
Okay. So for astrology, I'll share a little bit about my theory, my own personal philosophy with astrology. So I study evolutionary astrology, but you've got Western astrology, and then you've got Vedic, from India. So there's a lot of things to take into place here. And for me, my whole thing is all about the elementals and the elemental body. So it's very important to know your.
May I interrupt you for one time?
Mhm.
You told me one thing in your all interview that there's a different spirituality in all countries. Follow.
Mhm.
That you make a good point. And now speak further, please.
Okay.
In my Western environment, there is not so much spirituality. In America, there is hundreds of coaches, hundreds of spiritual persons. Who do I have to believe? I'm sorry.
Mm.
I do not know anymore. Swat, I give you the word lovely.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so in that instance, a lot of this is why we're doing this oracle space, is because it's about this personal sovereignty. And that's where I want to really reiterate again, running the information through your body. And ideally, you're your own source of information, whether that's independent research or going into this intuitive state like this, and so that's part of what is leaving and shifting, is that reaching outwards for information. And so my goal with this work is to learn how to do this for myself, and then keep lighting. We light one another up like candles or batons, passing the baton of independent access of information. Yeah. So yeah. I'm gonna just close it at that, because it's a big topic and I want to stay on topic for this. So I'm gonna close my eyes again and go back into this oracle inner space again. Any questions that anybody has in regards to, I just thought of something actually, sorry, based on what Lindsay was saying. I'm just going to mute you again just because it's loud. So this is what's happening with an eclipse energetically, is we've got the moon and the sun, and all of a sudden the moon is covering the sun a little bit, and we've got a covering. And so it's kind of like a reset, like a clipping, a cutting away. And that's this cutting action that's happening with the planets covering one another up. So if we can think symbolically of, if some of the light is covered up for a minute, that enables us to see more shadow and to work with that. It's also very interesting that this is a partial. So it's a partial eclipse. It's not a full eclipse. It's about half-ish. So that's kind of nice for our first one, to have half light and then half dark. That's a little bit easier for us versus a full eclipse.
How do you know that, Melissa?
This is all math. This is the mathematics of what's going on with the astrology. Yeah. So it's a partial solar eclipse. So another thing I wanted to share about this in regards to when we talk about things like the tower moment and the transformation of the self, all these things happening. Solar is your sun. It's your kind of more outer persona. It's your personality that's more traditionally associated maybe with the id or the ego. Our personality expression and how we show up in the outer world. How are we shining, or maybe now being invited to shine in a new way that's kind of scary and new, but it feels right? And so that's the energy of the solar eclipse, is what is this new definition of self, new clarification, maybe a simplification too of identity. We'll find things shifting with people, relationships, a lot of things. It's all frequency. So all of a sudden, I don't line up with that person anymore, or this job or this location. So it's a big one. This is a really exciting, really big eclipse. And just know that everything is orchestrated so beautifully by the divine in these
I
ways.
understand half of the words you're saying, Melissa.
Okay.
Yes, I speak Dutch, because I have to study double as hard as you. But I understand all the women now who are listening. So we are now at 7 women.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, I'm going to mute you.
Passava or
Do you have any other questions?
Yes, I would like to meet every woman here in the Rose Circle, because I told you told me a lot that it's important to share, but I can't share every day, and it's also important to set your boundaries. It's
Yes.
important to express yourself. And somebody in the group told me it's also allowed to express yourself, and also to feel good or bad or not. And in a role circle with women, just with women, it's a nice group. Does
Thank
I
you, but I
believe?
have to stop you there because we have to stay on task. This is an Oracle assignment for my school. So we're in the Oracle state right now. We can do rose circle stuff at another time. Yeah. So do you have any questions right now for the Oracle state that we're working through right now?
Good
If
question.
not, I'm going to just mute you because we're getting close to time and I want to honor if anyone else has any questions so we can stay. We want to stay on target here because this is an assignment I have to turn in. So I'll mute you if you don't have any questions. And thank you.
No,
And after I'm done recording, we'll connect. Okay, we'll do that after.
sorry, Melissa, I'm not so deeply spiritual involved in that matter.
That's okay.
Would you
I'm just gonna mute you now.
ask me a question, please?
Okay. All right. So does anybody else have any questions right now in regards to anything having to do with oracle work or today or the astrology? I'm going to close my eyes and go back into that state now.
I can ask another question. I've been feeling the importance of inner child work coming in recently. And I'm curious if there's any advice or suggestions of if for people who maybe, I guess this is related to joy and healing and pleasure and all of that, and the importance of connecting to the inner child to experience some of that for people who maybe don't have very many memories of that in childhood. Do you have any suggestions for tapping into that inner child joy and pleasure if we don't have our own memories?
That's a really wonderful question. And thank you so much for bringing in this topic because I've been focusing on conscious parenting this year. And what comes in immediately with that is first reparenting. Whether or not we're parents, we need to receive so that we can also give. So I just wanted to share that. I really love what you're asking about if we don't have really a point of reference, that can be pretty amazing. And it may help to have something like your oracle cards so that we can go beyond the linear mind, or something that's almost like a, or maybe even a reference book. Like I've got these books, let's see if I have them at Access, like Mindful Games. Let me show you these. So these are some great books. These are just examples. So Nurturing Spirituality in Children, or Mindful Games. And these are supposed to be like family games. But so a book like this, even, just going to the bookstore, metaphysical bookstore even, and just flipping through and let it open somewhere and then look and see what you get. And these might be ways, to kind of, without a linear approach, start to connect to more of the subconscious. Start to remember.
That's what I do, Marissa.
Awesome. Perfect.
I read first the summary, I look at the cover, read the summary, and just blather. And then I have a good, and I always wonder about the content. There are quotes about it, but I believe always in the honesty of a person. Thank you for sharing.
Oh yeah, that's wonderful. So let's see. I'm trying to think of any other without thinking too much. So let me go back into that space. Do you have children, Virginia?
I do. I have 3.
Oh my gosh, wonderful. Okay, because I was going to suggest something and then I thought, well, if we don't have children, I guess this could be a little weird. But I was going to say observing children, observing them in their play, if they're young, of course, if they're older, it may be different. But the children can be such powerful mirrors for us. Oh my gosh, remember how, just staring at the clouds for 5 hours was like heaven, or blowing on the dandelion puff, like blowing bubbles, like these really simple, or crayons, even like the mandala coloring, they can be a really powerful portal for us to remember, because it's almost like they're showing us. And that was my experience with my own daughter, because I had so much trauma that we had some moments of fun childhood. Most of them were outdoors in nature, but not a lot of fond memories. So then it's harder to remember the more positive experiences. And so I was kind of remembering through living it with my daughter, especially when she was younger, the toddler into like up to age 5 or so, but just seeing what fascinates them,
Yeah.
I hope
I think I'm
do that.
I hope that helps a little bit.
It does.
I
I
have a
think
question.
Okay, hold on. Let's let Virginia finish and then you can go, okay? Just to keep it easier. I'm sorry, Virginia.
yeah, that's okay. That was helpful. I think it helped me realize that I think I'm trying too hard to have fun.
Oh, and hey, we all do that, you know, so just like let it happen, you know, and just be silly. And yeah, I hope that helps, you know.
Thanks.
My pleasure.
Thanks.
Yes. Okay, Lindsay, what did you want to say? Oh, you're muted. Can you unmute? You're muted. You got to unmute yourself. I have to keep my eyes closed to stay in this state. So unmute yourself. There we go. Okay. She's not unmuting. Does anybody else have any questions? We're getting closer to the end. Can you hear me?
Yes, my
Okay,
coach.
there you go.
I can only tell to the women to believe in themselves, because the kids are your most precious treasures, and kids are the most valuable thing of all. In the essence, you understand after a while that when you give your attention to your kids, that's the most precious of all.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to say anymore, because you interrupt me of the connection doesn't work, but I'm a woman who stands up for her beliefs. I come from a whole bloodline of warriors. I have deserved a weapon shield in my bloodline. I know what I stand for. I don't make argues. If you want to argue with me, Marissa, I'm happy to argue, but I always will share the love. There's a woman who has a needs comfort. A woman who does not respect herself needs to respect herself. Voila.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Do you have any questions, though? This is a question and answer. So do you have any questions? Because we're going to close soon.
Yes, I understand. This is a circle, and the time is valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And I have proposed to join each other. I understand that, and that time is valuable. But I stand for what I believe in, is to cherish each woman.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't, at this moment, if people don't have questions for me, my only question is to love each other and to love yourself. Voila. That's my question. That's even not a question.
Beautiful. Thank you. All right. Does anybody else have anything before we kind of start to close it a little bit, and then we'll stop the recording and we can connect more that way. Just taking a breath and coming inside again. We'll close our eyes. So just to support you too, it really helps to close the eyes, because that can really start to quiet the mind, quiet the linear mind, and help us to be more receptive to information. I'm just getting, just to trust ourselves. There's a lot of known, there's a lot of unknown, and just being mindful of, you'll start to know when we're thinking too much, because you feel differently. You can feel when the heart is shut down. And we're remembering now to live from the heart as the place of communication and processing information, receiving information, and to just remind ourselves to
We
keep
always have
back.
to trust on our heart, Marissa.
Yes, one moment, please. Yes, to just keep coming back. So remember now, we are transitioning from the mind, and that being the only way, more of a computational kind of way. And I love what Jen and Virginia and Lindsay were all saying about the children is that's so beautiful, it's just that simple innocence, a much more simple time before the adulting came in. If we can remember that freedom and that fun, that will be so supportive for us with this eclipse. And then we're going to have another one 2 weeks after. So this is just part one, getting our feet wet here. And so does anyone else have any other questions before we just kind of start to wind down the energy and come back. Okay.
Marissa, I don't have a question. I just want that this rose circle is a valuable circle where a woman can experience himself to the fullest. Dus
Yay.
the best question to an unknown question is not a question, because you can be just yourself. Dus my question is just I feel when I don't have a question, sorry Marisa, I can speak like 30 years like a child who is abused and don't say anything. And that woman who spoke, I just tell her to believe in yourself, even when she doesn't have a question. She just wants to tell. She has to believe in herself and believe in herself. That is what the woman circle is all about.
Thank you.
I
Yeah,
just want to
thank you.
spread the message and I can't find the right word. Sorry, Marissa.
Okay, so thank you. That's so beautiful. I'm going to mute you now. And then let's go into, we're going to close the energy down and then we'll stop the recording and then you guys can have at it. All right. So I just want to thank you all so much for being here for this process. I hope that you've received some inspiration in how to connect more in your own experience. I'm available to support you in doing that more as well. But I just want to invite everyone to just make sure come down from the mind into the heart space. Feeling our roots connecting with Mother Earth, feeling that support and that stability. So even if things get intense, we always have that support system with Mother Earth and just really feeling that abundance of support. Connecting with the breath again. If we find ourselves getting lost in the head, just connecting with the breath and just have fun with it, you know, just play with it. It's a consciousness game. Oh gosh, I forgot again, you know, I come back to my heart. To just have a lot of tender, loving compassion for yourself at this time. Just sealing in all of that. And then I just invite everyone to see a giant, beautiful golden sun over your head. And we're going to run that down through the body, these beautiful, giant golden orbs of energy down through the body. And then another one. And this is going to put us all back in our own kind of tube, our own world. So another big, beautiful golden sun orb going down the body, down and out through the feet. And then one more nice big golden sun down through the head, down through the fields, down all the way through the feet, just to kind of put us back in our own reality, back in our own space of receptivity and life. And just taking some deep breaths here. And you're welcome to kind of, you know, put your hand, one hand on the heart, one hand on the belly, and just feel the body. So we're kind of, okay, yeah, you know, our consciousness can get really expanded when we're doing this. So it's good to stay expanded, but also be rooted in the body. And then just to invite you to remember that grounding practice of connecting with Mother Earth through that root system, anytime, all the time. She's always here for us. Just want to thank you all so much for this. And then I'm going to pause the recording here. So thank you. It's my final project. I really appreciate you all.